Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the drama of Port Charles. And we have so much to unpack about the latest twists and turns. Grab your favorite snack, get comfortable, and let's get right into the heart of the action. Because things are heating up in ways we never expected. I am literally screaming at my television. I cannot even begin to process the absolute mess that just unfolded on my screen. And I need to get this out of my system before I explode. Sonny Corinthos, the supposed undisputed hardened mob king of Port Charles, just got played like a cheap, out-of-tune fiddle. I mean, I've been watching this show religiously since 2015, and I have seen Sonny make some highly questionable calls over the years. We all have. We've watched him trust the wrong people, let his temper get the better of him, and walk blindly into traps. But this is next level delusion. And I am sitting here pulling my hair out because the writing is literally written in neon lights on the wall. So let's talk about the prodigal son returning. Ethan Lovett walked back into Port Charles fresh off a plane, and what is his literal day one agenda, offering to kill Jen Sidwell. He just strolls into town, flashes that signature smirk, and decides he's going to take out the most dangerous, terrifyingly calm villain we've had in years. And let's really break down that specific scene in Sonny's office, because the audacity of it all is staggering. Ethan sits down across from the boss like he's offering to grab the next round of drinks at Charlie's pub. He is so casual, so smooth, so completely unbothered by the weight of what he is proposing. He had the motive ready. He had the personal angle ready. He had the line about Sidwell trying to kill his mother locked and loaded. And Sonny just buys it. He completely buys the entire sob story. Yes, we all know Sidwell put Holly Sutton in extreme danger. We know Sidwell stood at the Metro Court and subtly threatened Tracy Quartermain by describing the exact cozy cottage in France where Robert, Sasha, and Daisy are staying. The personal grudge is real enough on the surface to sell the con, but Sonny called it a great read on the situation. He actually looked at Ethan Lovett, a man known for his drifter lifestyle and questionable loyalties, and thought, yes, here is a reliable freelance assassin who just wants to avenge his mommy. Sonny, wake up. You have been running Port Charles for 30 years. How do you survive 3 decades in the mob and just get played by a returning son with a sad story and a knife in his back pocket? Because here is the absolute truth that nobody in that room is seeing, and it is driving me insane. Ethan is not loyal. Ethan is not freelance. Ethan Lovett is on Ross Cullum's payroll, and the hit on Sidwell has been the plan from the exact second his designer boots stepped off that airplane. Sonny is just the patsy, the peers were the bait, and the body's already on the calendar, folks. I am telling you, this was never about Holly Sutton. And it was certainly never about helping the Corinthos organization. Let's rewind for a second and look at the actual timeline of events, because the timing is the ultimate tell. Remember the peers, Sidwell took 2 of Sonny's peers without clearing it with the boss. He forced Sonny's hand, took the property under duress, and thought he was untouchable. But Sidwell got greedy. He took a massive power play that Ross Cullum did not authorize. And if there's one thing we know about Ross Cullum, it's that he does not forgive freelancers who go rogue. Cullum is sitting in his hospital bed at General Hospital recovering from Rocco's gunshot. But he is still pulling every single string in this town. The next thing on Cullum's desk after that unauthorized peer transfer was a one-way ticket back to Port Charles for a man with a highly believable cover story and a very, very specific assignment. Ethan Lovett is that man. The contract was signed, sealed, and delivered before Ethan ever pretended to care about Holly's safety. Ethan did not stumble into Sonny's office on some noble instinct to protect his family. He walked in on a strict Cullum-approved schedule. Every single word out of his mouth was a line he had rehearsed. He knew exactly what Sonny needed to hear. Sonny is vulnerable right now. Jason is sitting in WSB custody, taking the fall for Rocco. And Sonny is desperate for a heavy hitter to fill that void. Ethan smelled the blood in the water, and he played Sonny's desperation perfectly. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the one person who actually saw this coming. Rick Lansing. Am I the only one who's suddenly a Rick Lansing apologist? Because Rick stood right there and told Sonny that Ethan was bad news. Rick literally suggested that Ethan might have been sent to infiltrate the organization. And what did Sonny do? He ignored him. He brushed Rick off and chose to trust Luke Spencer's son. I know Rick has his own agenda half the time, but he was spot on here. Rick already theorized that Sidwell was behind Jason getting shipped off to leave Sonny vulnerable. And now Ethan is swooping in to play the savior. It's too perfect. It's too orchestrated. And then there's Lucy Coe. Oh, Lucy. Bless her heart, she tries, but she is walking blindly into a slaughterhouse. Lucy walks into Sonny's office, right in the middle of this mafia job interview, talking about her grand plan to take down Sidwell. She wants to be the hero. She wants to outsmart the villain. And what does Sonny do? He puts Ethan on Lucy's protection detail. I repeat, Sonny handed Ethan the keys to the castle. He walked out of that conversation thinking he had hired himself a useful weapon to protect his assets. But he actually just gave the assassin a VIP pass to the target. The setup literally writes itself, and I am terrified of how good Ethan is at this. Lucy is the access point. Sidwell has already invited her into his orbit. He finds her amusing, maybe even useful, and now Ethan is in charge of protecting her. Which means Ethan has every single reason in the world to be in the exact same room with Sidwell whenever he wants. No one is going to question the bodyguard. No one is going to pat down the guy who is supposedly there to keep Lucy safe. I can see the scene playing out in my head right now, and it is chilling. The yacht party is going to be the kill site. It's the perfect isolated location. The party is going to be the cover. Lucy gets close to Sidwell. She distracts him with her usual chaotic energy. Sidwell drops his guard because he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And then Ethan walks in on the pretext of guarding her, pulls the trigger, and walks out, leaving a body on the floor. But the cleanup is the absolute masterpiece of this entire operation. Ethan does not get caught. Ethan does not flee the scene in a panic like some amateur. Ethan stays exactly where he is, plays the shocked bodyguard, and points the PCPD straight at Sonny Corinthos. Think about it from Dante and Justine Turner's perspective. The PCPD is going to follow the breadcrumbs, and where do those breadcrumbs lead? Straight to Sonny's front door. The motive is right there in the public record for everyone to see. Sonny sold the peers to Sidwell under extreme duress. Sonny had every reason in the world to want Jen Sidwell dead. Sonny publicly clashed with him, and most importantly, Sonny is the one who put a known hitman on Sidwell's protection detail under the flimsy cover of protecting Lucy Coe. Dante is going to look at the evidence, and it's going to paint a picture of a mob boss who ordered a hit on his rival. Sonny is going to look up from his espresso at the penthouse and realize the man he hired to kill his enemy was actually hired to frame him for the exact same kill. Cullum wins twice. I mean, you have to respect the sheer evil brilliance of it. Cullum loses a freelancer in Sidwell who is getting way too cocky taking peers and drawing too much attention. And Cullum loses the only mob boss in the region who was a real legitimate threat to his operation. Cullum walks away completely clean, sitting in his hospital bed, eating Jell-O, while Sonny Corinthos sits in a holding cell at the PCPD trying to explain why his fingerprints are all over a hit he did not actually order. The whole play takes one bullet and one phone call. And the thing that should be terrifying every fan watching right now is how effortlessly Ethan is pulling this off. He played Lucy Coe like a piano. Lucy walked into Sonny's office, talked about her plan, and walked out thinking she had a partner in Ethan. She did not. She walked out tagged for destruction. Ethan was watching that whole exchange, calculating every variable. Ethan now knows exactly what Lucy is planning, exactly when she plans to do it, and exactly how to make sure her timing lines up perfectly with his assassination schedule. Lucy is not a partner in this takedown. Lucy is a calendar invite. She is the alibi. And by the time anyone in Port Charles realizes the man they trusted to keep her safe is the same man holding the gun, Ethan Lovett will already be sitting in Ross Cullum's office, collecting his next assignment and a massive paycheck. Sonny Corinthos will be the headline on the front page of The Invader. Lucy Coe will be the traumatized witness crying on the stand, and Ethan will be the ghost who walked in, finished the job, and walked back out without a single drop of blood on his designer clothes. But wait. Okay, back to the point. There is one card left on the table. There is always a wild card. And it is the only card that can flip this entire rigged game. His mother, Holly Sutton. I know some people think Holly's just going to be happy to see her son, but personally, I think Holly is the one person who can tear this whole scheme to the ground. Holly Sutton has a sixth sense for her son's nonsense. She birthed him, she raised him, and she has survived enough of his schemes to know when he's playing an angle. She has been clean of his cons long enough to recognize one the absolute second she sees it. The second Holly arrives in Port Charles, which she absolutely will, because you cannot have Ethan running a massive con without his mother showing up to drag him by the ear, the whole operation starts to crack. Ethan can lie to Sonny all day long. Ethan can lie to Lucy while smiling in her face. Ethan can lie to a PCPD detective with his eyes closed and his hands tied behind his back. But Ethan cannot lie to his mother for more than 10 minutes. Holly Sutton is going to take one look at her son, realize he's in the exact same town as Ross Cullum, look at the situation with Sidwell, and know exactly what is coming. She knows Cullum's tactics, and she knows Ethan's weaknesses. The real question, the thing that is keeping me up at night typing this, is whether Holly gets there in time. Will she arrive before the yacht party? Will she figure it out before Ethan pulls the trigger? And even if she does, what does she do? Does Holly choose her son, covering up his involvement to keep him out of Steinmauer? Or does she choose Sonny and the truth, exposing her own flesh and blood to save a man she respects? It is the ultimate soapy dilemma, and I am here for the drama, but I am dreading the fallout. Because right now, at this exact moment in the storyline, Ethan Lovett is holding the knife, the schedule, and the alibi. He is in total control of the board. Sonny Corinthos has absolutely no idea he hired the wrong man. He thinks he's playing 4D chess. But he's not even on the board anymore. And the body on the floor is going to have Jen Sidwell's name on it. But it is going to have Sonny Corinthos' signature written in permanent ink. I cannot wait for tomorrow's episode, but I'm also terrified. Let me know if I'm crazy for thinking this, but the clues are all there.